Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing a builder gel set of nails. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. If you do, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, leave us a comment below and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, if you have any video requests, please do pop them below as well. Before jumping into the video, I really quickly wanted to show you guys these new water decals that launched recently from Kiki London. If you follow Kiki on their social media, you probably would have already seen some of these. Now, some of them do have an Easter vibe, but I thought I would show you guys the other ones. And I'm going to be using this little one here with all the quotes and sayings on it in today's video. So do check them out. I love the Kiki London water decals. They're really great to use. They're a really easy way, especially if you're working in a salon, to add nail art to your designs. So like I said, we will be using some of them in today's video. Now, starting off, I'm working on practice tips today. So if you were doing this set on a client, you would do all of your prep to begin with and then come in with your base coat. I will leave a prep video linked in the description box below. So on to the base coat, I'm going to be using RB06 on the thumb and little finger, and then I'm going to be using the standard clear rubber base on the middle ring and pointer finger because I wanted those nails to have a glass, semi-glass tip anyway. So I wanted to make sure that they had a clear base coat. So I've just showed you guys applying this on one layer of the clear and one layer of the RB06. But this is what all the nails look like once we've applied the base coat to all of those nails and cured them. So as you can see, the clear is super clear, which was what I wanted on those three middle nails. Now on to what's going to be the thumb. We're going to be using the Kiki London Easy Build Up Gel in neutral pink, and these two nails, when it comes to the builder gel layer, are pretty standard. We're just going to build up a full layer of builder gel. So I'm going to do a full builder gel nail, and then towards the end of the video we're going to add the water decals to these two nails. So when I'm doing a full builder gel layer a full builder gel nail, once I've finished applying my base coat layer and cured that, I come in with a thin layer of the builder gel. This is your slip layer. So this is a wet layer of gel that's really thin, but this particular layer of gel I like to focus on getting a nice neat cuticle area with and nice neat sidewalls. Especially when you're working on yourself or a client, you've got to be really careful that you don't get no product on the skin or the cuticles, and that's really easy to do if you've got a thin layer down. First of all, I find if I go straight in with a thicker layer, I do end up touching the cuticles. So then once I've got my wet slip layer down, I'm not going to cure this. I'm going to come over the top with my thicker builder gel layer. And this thicker builder layer, I don't have to take all the way up to the cuticle because we've already got a bit of product down there at the cuticle. I can kind of just nudge this up and it's going to gently flow towards that cuticle and sidewall area. But because we haven't got our slip layer touching any of the skin, then this thicker builder gel layer shouldn't touch any of the skin either. As you can see, that's built up a sort of thin to medium thickness layer. I like to personally do my builder gel in 2 layers. So I'm going to come in and repeat that whole process again. So applying my thin layer, slip layer, working this very close to the cuticle, making sure I get it nice and neat. And then I'm going to pick up a thicker ball of gel or a larger ball of gel. It's going to make a thicker nail. And then I kind of just roll this off my brush. And what's going to happen is the wet slip layer underneath is going to pull that gel from your brush, and then once it's released from your brush, you're able to move your brush from side to side to work that product down the nail. On the second layer, I've left the majority of it in the back third of the nail because I want to build up the thickness for my apex. I don't necessarily need a too thick tip. I just want to make sure my apex and stress area has been built up. Obviously, if you were doing this on your client, you would have sculpted a clear base or used a tip. I have got videos showing that, so again, I will leave those linked in the description box below. Now, I did exactly the same for the little fingernail as well. So as you can see, we've got 2 of those, and I'm going to pop them aside and we're going to come back to them further along in the video. On to the pointer, middle and ring finger. These are all going to have very similar bases. And what I wanted to do was a fade between the neutral pink and the crystal clear easy build up gel, because although the neutral pink is already, it's like a glassy translucent pink, I wanted the very tip of my nail to be fully clear. You're not going to see lots of it with the particular design I'm doing, but you will see hints of clear through the marble design that I'm going to be doing. It will all come together as we get through the video. But if you wanted to make this set on yourself, or if you want to recreate this set yourself, but you wanted it to be a little bit easier, then you could just do the marble design over the neutral pink and skip blending it with the clear, but it is very, very easy to blend. So to start off with, I come in with a thin slip layer of the neutral pink, but I didn't cover the entire nail. I just took it 3/4 of the way down the nail. Then I'm coming in with a slightly thicker layer, doing exactly the same as what I did on the previous nail, but rather than taking it all the way down the nail, I'm just taking it roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail. Then on the remainder of the nail, I'm going to apply the crystal clear. So I'm kind of just floating this on because I don't want to add too much product, because I don't want to build up too much thickness with this at the tip of the nail, because we are going to still have to add our design and then semi-encapsulate. So I don't want to build up too much thickness here. It doesn't matter too much building up your thickness with the neutral pink, because you're building that thickness up in the apex area where you need a little bit of thickness anyway. Then what I'm doing is I'm taking my ombre brush. Now I don't usually use my ombre brush with builder gel, but I wanted something that would have a really light touch. So I opted to use my ombre brush here, and I'm not really ombreing like you would with a gel polish. I'm kind of just melting those two colors together. They're going to run and merge together really, really easily. They just need like a little gentle nudge to help soften where the two colors meet, and they're naturally then going to blend together anyway. Then I'm going to cure that first coat, and then on the second coat I did it the other way around and added the clear first and then the neutral pink, because I felt as though this way would be a little bit easier. So I've painted on a thin layer of the clear, but then built up the pink a little bit thicker, same as what we did on that first coat. Don't worry if the nail looks a little bit uneven, because you're going to be adding a design on the tip of the nail and then encapsulating in a layer of clear, so it will all smooth and even out towards the end of the design. Same as before, I'm just going to take that ombre brush and gently bring these two colours together, just moving the gel from side to side, letting the clear and the neutral pink melt into one another. It's going to create a really, really subtle fade, because like I said, neutral pink is quite glassy, but I loved the effect that it did give off. I would happily wear a clear tip with a pink base like this without any nail art over the top, because I love glass-like nails. And any glass-like nails are so easy to do with the Kiki London Easy Build Up Gel, because the crystal clear has such amazing clarity. So off camera I did exactly the same on the other two nails, so we have our bases down for all 5 nails. Now we're ready to come in with a little bit of the fun part, and we're going to add on some neon marbles. So I have 3 colours from the neon collection and 3 colours from the pastel neon collection. So as you see here, I'm just showing you guys all of the colours so you know which I'm going to be using. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to use the neon and a pastel neon, one on each nail. So we have a creamy colour and then the brighter, more in your face neon colour. And then I'm also going to add in a hint of white. So I'm using my coconut for this because it's a lovely bright white, just so you've got a little pop of contrast between the two colours. And to marble these, I'm going to use my Kiki London dotting tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the regular Kiki London base coat, and you'll see me say this in nearly every video that I do a marble one, but I'm going to use this like a blooming gel. Now this step is optional because the colours will still marble together, but I do just prefer the effect that's given off when you add that base coat down. It blooms out the edges of the marble and just helps it look soft. Then on this one, I've dotted down Raving Doll, Coconut and Chick Flick. I've been really careful that I've not contaminated my brush with either of the colours. So always check your bottle brush before you pop it back in your bottle. You can place the dots down a little bit far from each other and then use your dotting tool to swirl through it. And just look how amazing this marbled. It gave off that fiery effect marble. And I just wanted the marble to sweep across the nail so that you still see the clear tips on either side, and you will in certain places see the glass tip through the marble. It just depends on how the marble works out. So on this one, we're going to use those orange shades. So we've got Milava from the Neon collection and then Peach Side from the Pastel Neon collection. Exactly the same as before, just marbling through them and keeping it going down that sort of center and flowing off to one side, because I really wanted to be able to see parts of that clear tip. At this part, your nail will feel and look a little bit bumpy and uneven, but like I said, don't stress about that, because when we add the clear layer of builder gel, it will smooth everything out. You can wait a couple of seconds before popping your nails into cure if you want your marble to blend a little bit more and bloom out at the edges a little bit more. But if you want a more defined marble, then pop it straight in for a flash cure before fully curing all of the nails. For our purples, we have Diva from the Neon collection, then the Coconut again, and then we're going to use a Purple Rain. Now in this particular one, the Purple Rain seemed to really overtake the marble. It seemed like the most pigmented colour down. And I ended up having to come in with a little bit more of the Diva, just so you still had a little bit of purple running through towards the top of the nail. So don't be afraid to come in and add more colours. You don't have to stick to just the 3 dots of gel polish. You can add a little bit more if you need to, or you could do a little bit less if you wanted your marble to not cover as much of the nail. I love marbles. I don't feel as though you can go wrong with marbles as long as you don't mess about with them too much. If you kind of keep swirling them with your dotting tool, what ends up happening is all of the colours just mix together and make one sort of muddy colour on the nail. So just don't overplay with it, but I just never feel like you can go wrong with a marble. They always end up looking amazing. So once I've done all of these, I'm going to pop them into cure for 60 seconds. I always like to cure my marbles for 60 seconds just because they might be a little bit thicker than a regular layer of gel in certain places. And here is what they look like. So as you can still see, we've got some of that glass tip peeping through here and there, which I really, really love. Now for finishing off the nail and sealing all that marble in and making sure we've got a built and smooth surface, I'm going to come in with a layer of the crystal clear builder gel. Now at this step, if your nail is looking a little bit thin, you can do your slip layer and then add thickness where it's needed. So if you need a little bit more thickness in your apex area, you can do that. If you need a little bit more thickness on the tip of your nail or encapsulating that marble, you can do that. If you don't, then just pop a layer over the top. It's going to depend on how much you've built up your previous layers and the length of the nail that you're working on. This is a medium to long length nail, so I've made sure I've built up my apex with the pink, so I did only have to do a little bit of encapsulation with the clear. The main reason I was encapsulating there was to make sure we got a smooth surface and to seal that marble in the builder gel. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Kiki London file and I'm going to start off by using the 180 grit side of the file just to sharpen up the shape. When you're working with builder gel, sometimes you'll find that you lose your shape of your nail when you're going through the layers of gel. So when you start off, you've sculpted your tip, you might have filed that tip and you've got a nice crisp shape. Same if you applied a tip, but then as you're adding your layers of builder gel, you might lose that crisp shape. So I like to come in with the 180 grit side of my file and just bring back that nice crisp shape. Then because my application had gone really nice and neat, all the gel had smoothed out nicely, I didn't feel as though I had to file the surface of the nail. So I'm just going to come over and buff it. This is going to smooth out any tiny bumps or imperfections that might be in the nail. If you've got an uneven application, you could come in and very gently file, but you would need to be careful of how much clear you've popped over your marble because you don't want to file into your marble. Throughout filing, I'm cleansing the nail to remove a lot of the dust with one of the Kiki London alcohol pads, just so I can see the surface of the nail clearly and make sure I've got a nice smooth even surface and that all my structure is built up correctly. I did exactly the same on the other two nails, so here's what they're looking like so far. Now just before we finish, I wanted to add in some of the new decals and I really loved these. I felt as though it was a really fun bright set of nails, so it would be cool to add in some little sayings. Now I've trimmed these off using my scissors and I've cut them as close to the image as possible, but I'm going to be applying these slightly different. So I've popped them in my water to soak as I normally would, but rather than popping them straight down on the nail, I'm adding a layer of base coat. Now, as I've said before, sometimes it can be tricky applying water decals over a buffed surface. Because your surface has been buffed, it's very, very smooth, and sometimes that means water decals slide around and they can just be a bit tricky to get the creases out of because they've not got any tack to grab onto. So what I like to do is apply them into a wet layer of base coat. So I've applied them exactly the same as I would with the traditional method, but we're applying them down in that wet base coat. Then once you're happy with how they're positioned, you've squeezed out any creases or any bubbles, you can then pop that in to cure in your lamp. Now, when I do this, I like to rub the water decal onto the back of my glove just so I'm removing a lot of that water, because we don't actually need that water at this point to adhere it down. You mainly have only needed that water to get the water decal to slide off the backing paper. So I remove a lot of that on the back of my glove, and then I'm not adding too much water into the layer of base coat, if that makes sense. And then another reason that this way is really good is because when you're working over a built nail, so you've built up an apex, you're not applying your decal to a flat surface like you would be when you're working on a natural nail. A natural nail is going to be a lot more flatter. So then when you're applying them over a curved apex, sometimes you're going to get a lot more creases. So by applying them into the base coat, it makes it a lot easier to get those creases out. So once we've cured those decals in place, we're ready to come in and top coat. For today's set, I wanted a combination of a glossy and a matte. So we're going to be using the no wipe matte top coat and the no wipe top coat. I'm going to be applying the matte top coat to the thumb and little finger, so those two water decal nails. But I really wanted the other nails to be glossy because I wanted a lot of the attention drawn to those colourful marbles. This set kind of reminded me of, you know, when you see those tie-dye t-shirts and then they've got a quote printed over the top of the tie-dye. I kind of felt the vibes of that from this set, except for the quotes were on separate to the tie-dye, because I felt as though the marbles did give off a little bit of a tie-dye vibe. If you'd added in different colours especially, it would have. And how beautiful do they look once you've added that layer of glossy top coat? The colours from the neons especially really, really pop, and then you can kind of get that hint of the glass tip underneath. I really, really liked this design, so I hope you guys did too. And as well, you can see how smooth the surface of the nails look, and that's thanks to adding that layer of clear and then giving them a buff. It's giving the nail a super, super smooth and even surface, which is what your kind of end goal is when you're working with builder gel products. You don't want any lumps or bumps or any unevenness. So once I had applied all of the top coats, I'm going to pop these in to cure for their final cure, and then we're ready to take a look at the finished set. So these were a really fun summery set to do, so I hope you guys all enjoyed watching. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up and leave us a comment below, and I shall hopefully see you all again in the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.